Hi my friends, let's continue this extremely important course. And the next collocation is deeply concerned or deeply worried. You know, we mostly use the adverb deeply when it's connected with different emotions. For example, deeply concerned, deeply worried, deeply ashamed, and so on. Deeply concerned, deeply concerned. I'm really concerned about this issue. I'm deeply concerned about this issue. I'm deeply concerned about this issue. I'm really concerned about the current situation. I'm deeply concerned about the current situation or about the present situation. We can also meet, the present and the current. I am deeply concerned about the current situation. I am deeply concerned about the current situation. If you say, I am deeply worried, it's okay. I'm deeply worried, it's about B2. In contrast to deeply concerned, it's about C1, C2. I'm deeply concerned. Deeply concerned. I'm deeply concerned about this issue. I'm deeply concerned about the current situation. Deeply worried. Deeply worried. I'm really worried about it. I'm deeply worried about it. I'm deeply worried about it. I'm deeply worried about it. They are really worried about the current state of affairs. Affairs means things. They are really worried or they're deeply worried about the current state of affairs. It means about the current situation, about the current state of affairs. They're deeply worried about the current state of affairs. Deeply worried. I'm deeply worried about it. They're deeply worried about the current state of affairs. Deeply ashamed. Deeply ashamed. It was deeply worried, and we see deeply ashamed here. He is really ashamed of his behavior. What a shame! And when it's about it, what a shame. So it was a great shame. We can say deeply. He is deeply ashamed of his behavior. He is deeply ashamed of his behavior. He was really ashamed of his behavior at the party. So he understood maybe that he had done an utterly stupid thing. He was really ashamed. He was deeply ashamed of his behavior at the party. He was deeply ashamed of his behavior at the party. He was deeply ashamed of his behavior at the party. Deeply ashamed. He is deeply ashamed of his behavior. He was deeply ashamed of his behavior at the party. Deeply regret or bitterly regret. I sincerely hope that you remember the expression bitterly regret. And as you remember, we say regret something without using a preposition here. Deeply regret. Deeply regret. I really regret it. I deeply regret it. I deeply regret it. I really regret what happened that day. I deeply regret what happened that day. I deeply regret what happened that day. Deeply regret. I deeply regret it. I deeply regret what happened that day. Deeply religious. If a person is deeply religious, it means that he or she has very deep religious beliefs. She is a very religious person. She is a deeply religious person. She is a deeply religious person. She is a deeply religious person. He is a very religious person and he has these beliefs. He is a deeply religious person and he has these beliefs. Let's try to use a phrasal verb here. Stick to, he sticks to these beliefs. For instance, you can say, I stick to the idea, or I stick to the belief that, I stick to the idea that, I stick to the belief that, or I stick to this idea, I stick to this belief, I stick to these beliefs, and so on. Stick to. When you have a certain belief or a certain idea. He is a deeply religious person and he sticks to these beliefs. He is a deeply religious person and he sticks to these beliefs. You know, when we use, both these expressions, deeply religious and stick to, it's about, the level C1. Yeah, I would sooner say that it's C1. Deeply religious. She is a deeply religious person. He is a deeply religious person and he sticks to these beliefs. Deeply shocked. Well, of course you can say greatly shocked or totally shocked. However, we're going to practice this word deeply in this lesson. Deeply shocked sounds really natural. In fact, it's a very natural English expression, English collocation. Deeply shocked. I was really shocked by that news. I was deeply shocked by that news. I was deeply shocked by that news. I was deeply shocked by that news. He was really shocked by his sudden death. He was deeply shocked by his sudden death. He was deeply shocked by his sudden death. Deeply shocked. I was deeply shocked by that news. He was deeply shocked by his sudden death. Deeply moved. It's about feelings, not about movement. Deeply moved. I was really moved by his words. It means that these words had a great influence, or they had a profound influence on me. So it influenced my life greatly, or it had a great effect on me. It affected me greatly, to a great extent. I was really moved by his words. I was deeply moved by his words. I was deeply moved by his words. It implies that his words were really moving. They were so moving. They couldn't leave me indifferent. Right. To be frank, I'm really moved by such a shocking story. To be frank, I'm deeply moved by such a shocking story. To be frank, I'm deeply moved by such a shocking story. Deeply moved. I was deeply moved by his words. To be frank, I am deeply moved by such a shocking story. Deeply committed. Let's have a look at the context. He is really committed to his principles. It means that he believes in them so much. Deeply committed. To be deeply committed. He is deeply committed to his principles. It means that he sticks to his principles. And it isn't nothing for him. It means a lot. It's really a lot. So he can sacrifice it. Or he can't betray his principles. He can't betray his beliefs. He is deeply committed to his principles. He is deeply committed to his principles. She remains really committed to her principles and beliefs. She remains deeply committed to her principles and beliefs. She remains deeply committed to her principles and beliefs. Deeply committed. You see, double M, double T. Deeply committed. Yeah, if we're talking about spelling. Deeply committed. He is deeply committed to his principles. She remains deeply committed to her principles and beliefs. Ridiculously easy. It's when something is incredibly easy. Ridiculously easy. It's so easy. If it's so easy, we can say it's ridiculously easy. It's ridiculously easy. It's ridiculously easy. The test was so easy. The test was ridiculously easy. The test was ridiculously easy. We can also come across the following expressions: ridiculously easy, cheap. For instance, it's ridiculously cheap. Or low, it's a ridiculously low price when it costs so little. Or on the contrary, high, ridiculously high. It's a ridiculously high price when it really costs a lot, when it really costs so much. Ridiculously easy, cheap, low, high. It's ridiculously easy. The test was ridiculously easy. Painfully shy, very shy, so shy, painfully shy. She used to be so shy. She used to be painfully shy. She used to be painfully shy. She used to be painfully shy. As far as I'm concerned, I used to be painfully shy. For example, she used to be painfully shy. When he was a teenager, he was so shy. When he was a teenager, he was painfully shy. When he was a teenager, he was painfully shy. Painfully shy. She used to be painfully shy. When he was a teenager, he was painfully shy. Blissfully unaware. You know, it's a very common expression among native speakers, although I guess you've never come across this collocation before. Blissfully unaware. When we don't really know something, when we didn't expect it to happen. Blissfully unaware. Blissfully unaware. They don't really know the real state of affairs. To be blissfully unaware. They're blissfully unaware of, to be aware of or to be unaware of. We see they're blissfully unaware of the real state of affairs. We have no idea what's really going on here. Or, as they say, we don't have the faintest idea, or we don't have the slightest idea. Look, I don't have the slightest idea, or I don't have the faintest idea. I have too little knowledge about it. I have no idea at all. If so, we can say the following. I don't have the slightest idea. I don't have the faintest idea. I'm blissfully unaware of what's going on here. They're blissfully unaware of the real state of affairs. The real state of things or of affairs, it sounds much more advanced. They're blissfully unaware of the real state of affairs. They're blissfully unaware of the real state of affairs. He doesn't really know their true intentions. It means that he doesn't suspect it. He doesn't really know, or he is blissfully unaware of their true intentions. Maybe that they are going to deceive him, or using a phrasal verb, we can say to take him in, to take in or to deceive. He is blissfully unaware of their true intentions. He is blissfully unaware of their true intentions. Blissfully unaware. They are blissfully unaware of the real state of affairs. I don't have the slightest idea. I don't have the faintest idea. He is blissfully unaware of their true intentions. Completely different or really different. Completely different. Some people say that American English is really different from British English, but that's not true. Some people say that American English is completely different from British English, but that's not true. If we look, at real English speech, native speakers often replace, it or this with that. For instance, that's great, that's fantastic, that's marvelous, that's magnificent, instead of it's. So we can also train this structure here with that's. Completely different. Some people say that American English is completely different from British English, but that's not true. They use a very different approach in this method. They use a completely different approach in this method. They use a completely different approach. For instance, we can add approach to this theory in this method, or approach to this way of practice in this method. They use a completely different approach in this method. Completely different. Some people say that American English is completely different from British English, but that's not true. They use a completely different approach in this method. Completely new. Completely new. Really new. It's really a new word for me. It's a completely new word for me. It's a completely new word for me. It's a completely new word for me. Students often come across new words, and most of them say, this word is new for me, or this word is really new for me, instead of saying, for example, this word is completely new for me, or it's a completely new word for me, or it's a completely new expression for me. It's really a new expression for me. It's a completely new expression for me. It's a completely new expression for me. It's a completely new expression for me. Completely new. It's a completely new word for me. It's a completely new expression for me. Completely forgot. Completely forgot. We use the adverb completely before a verb. I mean the verb forgot. Completely forgot. I really forgot about that meeting. I completely forgot about that meeting. I completely forgot about that meeting. I completely forgot about that meeting. I really forgot to ask his name. I completely forgot to ask his name. I completely forgot to ask his name. Completely forgot. I completely forgot about that meeting. I completely forgot to ask his name. And there is one more collocation left. As you see, eternally grateful. Eternally grateful. Really grateful. So grateful. It's a very strong feeling. In other words, we can explain it this way. For instance, it's a gratitude without an end. It's a gratitude without an end. When we feel really grateful and this feeling doesn't last, let's say, for a minute or for an hour, for a week, this feeling lasts forever. It's like eternity, eternity, all the time, forever, eternally grateful. Gratitude without an end, eternity. I'm so grateful to you for all this. Right, if it isn't just an ordinary thanks, and I feel, so grateful, I can say, for example, I'm eternally grateful. I'm eternally grateful to you for all this. I'm eternally grateful to you for all this. I'm eternally grateful to you for all this. I'm so grateful to you for everything you've done for me. If we see a connection with the present here, we can use this tense, present perfect, when we see a clear effect of what was in the past, when we see it in the present. If there is a very clear connection between the present and the past, when we see the result, of the past actions here in the present, at the present time. I'm so grateful, or I'm eternally grateful to you for everything you've done for me. It could have been said, everything you did for me, but maybe it was a long time ago, and it doesn't, sound really important at present. But if we are going to highlight the importance, and if we are going to put an emphasis on it, it's better to use present perfect here, if it's really a very serious matter, and if it's a matter of great importance. I'm eternally grateful to you for everything you've done for me. Eternally grateful. Gratitude without an end. Eternity. I'm eternally grateful to you for all this. I'm eternally grateful to you for everything you've done for me. I'm eternally grateful to you for everything you've done for me. My friends, really, I'm eternally grateful to you for your tremendous support. Thank you very much. We continue this extremely important course.